David Serta, Cole Rodby, Zach Nussbaum, Eddie Burns, and your host, Kyle Sheehan.
All right, welcome. We're here, NuFool Sports Group. We're talking about Week 7 in the NFL. Mr. Sheehan here. I teach sports. I play sports. I'm an NFL expert. Here are my guys right here. We'll start first with Cole to my left.
Hi, I'm Cole Rodby. I know a lot about football because I played professional basketball and kickboxing, and I follow the teams around. Zach.
My name's Zach Nussbaum. I know a lot about football because I watch every single game, every single play.
My name's Eddie Burns. I like football because it's fun.
My name is David Serta, and I have almost every sports package you can imagine.
All right.
Breakdown.
First aspect of our show here, we're going to break down the games from yesterday. Big games yesterday. Big week, NFL Week 7. We're starting to see who the contenders, who the pretenders are. First game I want to talk about real quick, Sunday Night Football, Green Bay, Minnesota. Packers needed it, and they got it. What do we think, boys?
I just think it was quarterback matchup. Aaron Rodgers is too strong for Brett Favre, and that rang true. And also the Green Bay defense with the 3 picks and just making plays.
I thought this showed that this might be Brett Favre's last season for good because he had 3 interceptions and 1 touchdown, and he hurt his ankle during the game.
Well, I thought the whole team for the Vikings was pretty weak.
I thought that the Packers defense played really well, and I thought that Brett Favre should have retired when the season began.
Wow. Packers defense came through in the second half. Cole, what's a game you want to talk about?
Oakland, Denver. Darren McFadden had 3 rushing touchdowns and 165 yards on the ground to help the Raiders scorch the Denver Broncos. Is this the Raiders being just that good or the Denver being that bad?
I think it's Denver being that bad because their division is San Diego, Denver, Oakland, and another team I cannot remember right now. But they have a weak division, and Denver is not that good right now.
Yeah, Denver is they're just not good, not consistent.
I thought that the Raiders played really well, and I think it showed how good the Raiders were.
59 points. Now, is this Oakland? I mean, are they going to get another 59-point game or what? You know, is just Denver's that bad? They're at home. They give up 59 points.
I was kind of shocked when I watched the game.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think 14 of the points, there was 2 touchdowns by the defense. So right there, that's 14. But still, that's a lot of points by the offense. So I don't know what happened to the Denver defense.
All right, well, we'll see. We'll see if Oakland can put up 59 next week. Zach, what do you think? What's the game you want to talk about?
My game's the Buffalo-Baltimore game. Even though Baltimore won 37-34 in overtime, I liked Ryan Fitzpatrick, 347 yards, 4 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions. And it was against the number 3 defense in the NFL. What do you think about this game, Eddie?
Well, I think they're both 2 really good teams, and it was a good game.
I felt that that Baltimore really should have done better, and their coach admitted that even though they won, they played poorly, and they should have scored more points.
Well, it's just Denver being the better team. Baltimore being the better team, pulling it out with the better defense and better offense. Even though Buffalo had an amazing game, and at the end of the day, Baltimore is the better team, and that's how they pulled it out.
A lot of people are jumping on the Baltimore bandwagon when they're giving up 34 and they got to go to overtime at home to beat the Bills.
Yeah.
The Bills are 0-7, 0-6. So, you know, let's not get on that Baltimore bandwagon too soon yet. David, what do you think? What games you watch? What game you want to break down?
The Bears game. I would say that Jay Cutler he played horribly, and I think that Rex Grossman would have done better. And D'Angelo Hall, it seemed like he was on the Bears because that's how much Cutler threw the ball.
Did D'Angelo Hall lead the Bears in receptions yesterday?
I think
Did
so.
anyone on the Bears have more than 4 receptions? Because D'Angelo Hall did. I mean, who is this guy? Who is this guy? I got Jay Cutler on my fantasy team and I lost, throwing 4 interceptions. Come on. What do we think?
I hope he's on everybody's fantasy follower list with this utterly horrible, vile, absolutely atrocious performance.
I think Jay Cutler maybe could take some lessons from Rex Grossman on how to throw many picks.
Well, I think Jay Cutler just had the sun in his eyes. I think he's a really good player, and
He couldn't tell who was on white and who was on red.
yeah, he was just very clueless.
had a
But
bad
he's
game.
good. He's good.
Two opposite colors, white and red.
You just can't tell yet.
Now
We'll get there.
one more game. I want to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs here because we talked about the AFC West. San Diego is struggling. We just talked about Oakland. Kansas City's 4-2 in first place by 2 games in that division. Are they for real or what? The Kansas City Chiefs, Jacksonville, they're beaten by 22. What do we think? Are they for real?
They're a very easy division. I don't know if I can name 3 players on the Kansas City defense. I mean, they gave up 20 this last week, and I don't think the Kansas City defense can hold up, even though they do have Jamal Charles, who is a beast.
I'm not sure about the Kansas City team because they lost to Indy, who's in their division, and I think Indianapolis will somehow catch up in the end.
I really don't know where that came from. Chiefs.
They just came out of nowhere. They surprised everybody.
They
They surprised everybody. We'll see.
I would say that
We'll see.
the Chiefs they're for real.
Yeah?
Because they almost beat Indianapolis. And I would say their division's easy and they can win their division.
Fantasy football.
Talk about the fantasy world for a little bit. The rise and fall of the fantasy empire. All right? A lot of people play fantasy football. We'll start with the risers. Speaking of next week's games, I'm going to go with the Chief. I'm going to go with Jamal Charles against Buffalo. Buffalo is shown to have a pretty weak run defense. I look for Jamal Charles to put up big numbers next week as my fantasy riser.
My fantasy riser, should I say my follower too? Or just my riser?
All right, we'll just go risers.
All right, my riser is Bajarvis Green Ellis. He only has 116 yards on the ground in the last 3 games, but has 3 touchdowns. That may not be so great in real NFL, but in fantasy, a touchdown, at least in my league, is 6 points. So, yeah.
My fantasy riser is Steve Johnson, wide receiver of the Buffalo Bills. He had 8 receptions, 158 yards, and 1 touchdown versus the Baltimore defense, which is ranked number 3 in the pass defense. And they play Kansas City next.
My riser is Peyton Manning because I think still his experience will come against everyone. And my followers, Randy Moss. I don't think he's that consistent at all.
My fantasy riser is Kenny Britt. He had 3 touchdowns and over 200 yards and receptions, and he sat out the first quarter, and he still was able to put up those numbers.
He'll put up big numbers.
Yeah.
Now let's go to the opposite, the fantasy fallers. I'm going to go with Ryan Matthews, a rookie running back for San Diego. Everybody knows Phillip Rivers likes to throw the ball. Okay? They got Tennessee next week. Tennessee leads the league in sacks. Their defensive line is great, fantastic. Nobody can run the ball in Tennessee. So my faller for next week is Ryan Matthews.
This guy is actually on my fantasy team. My fantasy follower is Wes Welker. You know, he's not that big of a follower, but I think Randy Moss leaving has really kind of closed up those inside routes that he gets, and his production has gone down in the first 3 weeks.
My fantasy follower is Heath Miller. Last game he had 3 receptions for 33 yards. It was an okay game, but I expect more out of a tight end for the Steelers, especially with Big Ben back. And they play New Orleans next.
My follower is still Randy Moss.
My follower is Matt Castle because I felt that he should have thrown the ball more, especially against a bad pass defense. So I was expecting him to throw the ball more, but instead they ran the ball a lot, so he put up poor numbers.
True or false?
All right, now we're into a segment we like to call True or False, where I'll make a list of provocative statements and you guys tell me what you think. True or false? Often imitated, never duplicated. Here we go. First question, boys. Buffalo Bills putting up 34 on the road against Baltimore. Looking a little bit better. Buffalo will get their first win next week against Kansas City.
I don't believe so. I feel like Jamal Charles and Thomas Jones will run all over the Buffalo defense, and I feel like Ryan Fitzpatrick cannot